The famous management consultant Peter Drucker once said, "Tell me what you value and I might believe you. But show me your calendar and your bank statement and I'll show you what you really value." And it's true. While I might say that I value truth, justice, and always eating my spinach, a detailed look into those two troves of information would yield quite different answers. Digging into my bank statements would reveal an enormous amount of money spent on coffee and wooden gnomes from eBay, and a look at my calendar, not my Google Calendar, but an actual real-time log of my life's events, if such a thing were possible to build, would shed light upon way more time than I care to admit spent scrolling through Instagram and Twitter and other social media apps. And I would bet that if we were to look at your calendar, we would see something similar, if not worse. Comparisons aside though, I think it is safe to say that most of us, myself included, spend more of our time and attention than we would like to on these apps if we were to look at our lives from a more rational bird's eye view. And that is why today I want to give you some tips for breaking your social media addiction, whether you actually call it an addiction or whether you're in denial. Now, as astute and longtime viewers of this channel may know, I am a big fan of the author Cal Newport, especially his book Deep Work, which actually has a chapter called Quit Social Media. Given that fact, you may be surprised to know that I'm not going to recommend quitting social media in this video, at least not right up front. And that's because I'm an advocate of moderation, and I also recognize that social media can bring a lot of benefits. But along with those benefits come drawbacks. And as the ex-Facebook data scientist Jeffrey Hammerbacher once said, "The best minds of my generation are thinking about how to make people click ads." And of course, to make you click those ads, those minds also have to think about how to keep you on their platforms for as long as possible, which means that at the very least, these things are meticulously engineered to be huge time sinks. But that isn't the only criticism you can level against them. They also can make you a less happy person, as repeated research has shown. When you're spending a ton of your time scrolling through these feeds of meticulously crafted posts that show the highlights of people's lives, including people that you probably know in real life, and you're comparing them, sometimes subconsciously, to your own life, the entire thing, warts and all, you can start to make comparisons that really put a damper on your happiness. So the question is, how do you use these tools and treat them like tools to get their benefits while avoiding the drawbacks? Let's start off with something that is very easy to do. Kill your notifications. Notifications are like that ringing bell that made Pavlov's dogs salivate, only instead of giving you food, they deliver a quick dopamine rush in the form of a new comment or DM or post from someone else. Now, there is nothing wrong with checking these posts or answering your DMs, but when you look at them in response to a notification, you are establishing a habit, you are establishing a craving, and when those notifications come in the future, you're going to have fewer mental defenses for avoiding them. And the problem here is that these notifications have no respect for your time, or the fact that you need long, uninterrupted periods of concentration to actually get your work done. So go into your phone's notification settings for each and every social media app that you have and destroy those notifications. Secondly, I'm going to suggest that you redesign your phone's home screen to remove all social media apps from it. And this is something that I actually did recently. You may have seen the video that I put out just a couple of months ago on my iPhone home screen, but even that home screen layout has now gone the way of the dodo because it had social media apps on there. I think Twitter was on there and Instagram was on there. And at the time, I kind of justified it because as a content creator, I use those platforms for my work. But I am also a consumer on those platforms, and more often than I liked, I found myself scrolling through them, wasting my time, so I just got them entirely off my home screen. I created an entire second page of apps on my phone, and I buried all those social media apps inside of folders. So if I want to go to one, I have to look for it. It's a very intentional thing. Now, if you're on an iPhone like me, there is one thing you have to do beyond just shoving those apps into folders. You have to actually turn off Siri suggestions as well, because in my case, when I would swipe down to search for a different app that wasn't on my home screen, I would always see Instagram and Twitter sitting there, which is basically the same thing as having them on the home screen. So if you are on an iPhone, you can go into the settings, you can go into Siri app suggestions, and you can disable them on an app by app basis. Now, to suggest another option that would actually negate the need to do all of that, what if you only used social media on your computer? The problem with social media apps on your phone, and one of the biggest things we're trying to get away from here, is that they can become pervasive throughout your entire life. And that's because your phone is in your pocket or in your purse all day long, meaning you have constant, easy access to these tools. But if you were to delete all these apps off of your phone, you'd still be able to use most of them on your computer in a more deliberate manner. Maybe some of them are a little bit hard to access, like Snapchat. I'm not even sure if you can get to that on a computer, but most of them do have a desktop site. And in fact, my friend Martin even found a way to post his photos on his Instagram profile using a desktop computer. So if you're finding yourself mindlessly opening Twitter or Snapchat or Instagram on your phone all the time, try deleting those apps from your phone and just using them on a computer for a while. See how that works out for you. Now, going back to that problem of social media becoming pervasive throughout your entire life, the next suggestion I have is to deliberately only use it at a specific time of the day. Treat social media like you treat Netflix or like video games or like anything else that you only do at specific places and times. And if you wanted help enforcing this, you could use a website and app blocking tool like Freedom, which is the one that I use. And this has been a very helpful tool for me. I use it to block all sorts of social media sites, things like Reddit and Hacker News, and all kinds of other places that I tend to waste time on during my mornings. So that way, instead of procrastinating during those hours, I'm writing or I'm reading or I'm actually getting my work done. Now, so far, all we've talked about is the binary choice of using these social media apps at specific times of the day or not using them. But this next tip actually kind of gets into the middle ground, because social media tools and apps are actually collections of many different features. Take Facebook, for example. Facebook has the news feed, but it also has the Messenger tool, and it also has the events tool and the groups tool. And some of those tools might actually be very useful to you, like Messenger or the groups, while others, like the news feed, may be completely valueless in your life. So instead of asking yourself, should I block it or should I use it, what if you blocked certain features? And if you use a tool like To-Do Book, you can actually block the news feeds of most major social media platforms and other websites like Reddit and Hacker News, so you can only use the more useful functions. And when you go to look at the news feed, you're gonna see a to-do list reminding you of things that you're supposed to be doing instead. Okay, so we've talked about all the rational middle ground answers, and now we're going to get to the question of, should you quit social media? Or should you at least stop using certain social media platforms in the way that you are currently using them? So in his book, Deep Work, the author Cal Newport talks about something called the any benefit approach, which is something that people use to justify using social media tools. They basically say, if there's any benefit that I can get out of this that might improve my life, no matter how small of an improvement it may make, I am justified in using it. And as he writes in the book, the problem with this approach, of course, is that it ignores all the negatives that come along with the tools in question. These services are engineered to be addictive, robbing time and attention from activities that more directly support your professional and personal goals. So if those goals are a priority for you, then you should seriously ask yourself, do I need all the social media accounts that I currently have? And you can also get more granular than that as well, such as asking, do I need this particular app on my phone? For example, I don't keep the Pinterest app on my phone because I find that it's just a time waster there, but I haven't deleted my account entirely because I do find it to be a useful repository of design inspiration and ideas that I can go look at when I want to, say, redesign my website. But on the other hand, I found recently that Snapchat offered me no value whatsoever, so I actually went in and deleted my account there. And that brings me to my final tip here, which is for people who feel that they are truly addicted to these social media platforms. If all the other tips in this video haven't helped you so far, if you just can't resist opening these apps and wasting your time on them, then try a 30-day serious social media detox. Get completely away from all of it. And the first step to doing that would be deleting those social media apps off of your phone, blocking the websites on your computer, making it generally as difficult as possible to access them. Keep in mind that your ability to maintain self-discipline is highly influenced by your environment. So just like somebody who's on a diet and trying to avoid junk food needs to get all the junk food out of their house, you need to get all the access to social media out of your immediate vicinity. And then once that 30 days is up, you can start to slowly reintroduce these tools back into your life and see if you can use them in a way that does benefit you, but doesn't cause you to waste too much time. And then once you've gained back that time that you were previously wasting scrolling through your Facebook and Instagram feeds, you may want to dedicate some of it to improving your creative problem-solving skills, as well as your skills in the fields of math, science, and computer science. And if that's something that you do want to do, you should check out Brilliant. Brilliant is a math and science enrichment tool that takes an incredibly active approach to learning. So when you go into their courses, you're going to be immediately thrown into challenging problems that force you to really work to find the solutions. And in addition to being a very effective way to learn these subjects, this approach also makes you a universally better problem solver because you have to apply effort and creativity rather than just passively intaking the material like you would in a lecture style class. Within Brilliant's library, you're going to find courses on calculus, on math for quantitative finance, on probability, on science topics like gravitational physics, and computer science topics like algorithms and machine learning. In addition, you're also going to find an incredibly detailed wiki that covers problems from all across their courses, so when you get stuck on something tough, you can go do some in-depth learning there, and there's also an awesome community area where people from around the world are constantly helping each other out and challenging each other. So if you want to start learning for free today, then head on over to brilliant.org/ThomasFrank, which you'll find in the description down below, and if you're one of the first 83 people to sign up with that link, you're also going to get 20% off of your annual premium subscription. I want to give a big thanks to Brilliant for sponsoring this video and being a huge supporter of this channel, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button to support this channel, and you can also subscribe right there to get new videos every single week. You can also click right over here to get a free copy of my book on how to earn better grades, find one more video on this channel right over here, or follow me on Instagram over at TomFrankly. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.